I miss football. Like I've told you before, just going to come out and say it. I was obsessed with it forever. And all that Black Lives Matter crap came out and all the flag stuff, and I stopped watching. And most of the stuff I've walked away from, I don't miss. I miss sitting down on Sunday with the wife and having a beer and watching the NFL and watching Michele Tafoya on the sidelines. And now she has a podcast, the host of the Michele Tafoya podcast. Michele, I used to sit down and watch NFL football, and you were there, and now I don't do any of those things. You're gone, and football has made me mad.
You're not alone. I know you're not alone. I'm excited to have it back, but I understand your predicament. I truly do. And I think it's true with a lot of major league sports, quite frankly.
Why did they go that way? You were in that world. I've never been part of that world, but you obviously know the ins and outs of it. Why did sports go that way? Because my whole life, it was just never left or right or anything. It was our escape from all that. It was we all went to the game or watched the game and yelled and screamed and cried and had fun, and then that was it. But then it was like overnight, it all got political. How did that happen?
Well, I mean, it started with Colin Kaepernick, right? At least in the NFL, it did, I think. And, you've got a lot of young people playing the game. You've got young people kind of promoting the game from the social media standpoint. Like I went to the Buffalo Bills social media page and it was their Twitter. It's weird. It's not about football. It's about something else. I can't even recall right now, but I don't know this sort of wokeness, this, let's all hold hands and love each other and virtue signaling and all the rest, I think has permeated every major institution, not just in America, but everywhere. And it's probably been in the works and growing and taking root for a long time. And we're just now starting to really see it.
Is that why you left sports and started digging into politics more and more?
It's part of the reason. I mean, I didn't need to leave. I chose to leave. In fact, I chose to leave several years before I did leave. And it didn't have to do necessarily with just sports. It was everywhere where I saw that people were afraid to say things, weren't allowed to say things. I got bashed for asking questions about COVID and masking and vaccines online. People were just, calling you names. And I thought, this is strange. If their best argument, meaning anyone who opposes you, is to call you a bigot or a transphobe or a racist or a white supremacist or whatever, whenever you open your mouth and question something's going wrong here. And I love this country way too much to just sit back and go, oh, that's fine with me. No way. No way.
I love that. Korean diversity hire got up on the podium speaking about men and women's sports. This is what she said.
Does he care that girls are allowed to compete in sports without fear of injury? Does he think it's fair for girls to have to compete against biological males?
I just answered the question. It is a complicated issue. It is truly a complicated issue with a wide range of views, There is no yes or no answer to this. It is complicated.
It's not really complicated, Michele. My sons are 13 and 14 now, and they now live in a world where I have to explain to them what transsexuals are when we talk about sports. It's so crazy how nuts everything got overnight.
It does feel like it happened overnight. I saw this sort of happening a while ago in some youth sports where trans girls, meaning boys who were, presenting or identifying as girls, were able to compete on girls' soccer teams. And my daughter, a soccer player, I thought, oh my gosh, what is going on? This isn't fair. Someone lost a spot on that roster because a little boy who now thinks he's a girl or wants to be a girl took her spot. That's not what Title IX was all about. That's not why we have two divisions. We split up sports in so many ways to make competition fair. And one way that was fought for many years was so that women could have the same opportunities to excel at sports as men. And so when someone like Megan Rapinoe of the U.S. national soccer team, the women's team, comes out and says, hey, I'm all for it, let trans women play, I wonder, where she would have been on that had this issue come about and deprived her of a roster spot some years ago.
Yeah, I think we all know where she would have been. And I guess what shocks me most about it, Michele, is how everybody really knows the injustice of it. Everybody, 100% of society knows it's wrong, including the people directly participating in it. And yet it's something that's happening and happening at some of the highest levels. It's wild to me. Everyone knows it's wrong. And yet, as you pointed out earlier, I guess people are just too scared to say anything. So it's happening.
That's a big part of it, is this fear of speaking out and fear of being called a name and maybe losing friends or hell, losing your livelihood, right? So you're right. I think what women need to do is when they are stepping into a competition, they need to know if there is a trans female competing, leave the competition, protest, don't compete. I saw recently at a cycling race somewhere, two biological men were on the podium. They called themselves trans women, and maybe they are trans. I have no problem with that. What I have a problem with is the unfairness of this. And it's, for Karine Jean-Pierre to say it's so complicated and there are a wide variety of views. You want to take a poll on that? I would venture a guess that the vast majority of Americans know this is unfair, believe it's unfair, and think there has to be another solution.
Michele, what's Triangle Park?
Triangle Park is a park in Dayton, Ohio, where the first ever NFL game was played. And a documentary film is coming out this fall that I have the pleasure of narrating and being a part of. We've got Larry Fitzgerald, Tony Dungy, Troy Aikman, Joe Buck, Chris Collinsworth, Susie Colbert, Ben Roethlisberger, a bunch of Eric Dickerson, a bunch of people participating in the film. I am so happy and lucky to be narrating it. So people need to keep an eye out for it. If you live in an NFL city, you're probably going to have a screening in your town come right around Thanksgiving time. We'll keep you posted on the details, but this is going to be good. It's not only about just football, but what was going on in America in 1920. Women were first getting the right to vote. So it's a great piece of history. It's a great piece of football history. So even if you don't like the NFL now, Jesse, you can watch the history of it.
I will. Triangle Park. What a better time in the country that was. Michele, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Great to see you.
I have great news. If you enjoyed that, I have a YouTube channel you can subscribe to. Whatever I do, it'll be right there on YouTube. So go subscribe today.